about an hour left. So that stuff we were doing yesterday, let's just at least finish that one up. We only were able to make edits for the admin details, but we haven't worked on the admin editing their profile password. So let's do that password aspect today. So we only did for the username, last name, email, and all. So I yet to do the aspect of them changing their password inside the admin panel directly. Okay, good. I'm recording. So I'll go to the admin route to log in. I think the login details. Okay, admin. Admin mail. Then the password is password 123. So the profile page, that is where we stop. So we're going to do for the password aspects as well. So let's go to the resources, views, resources view, backend, profile, index page. So this is the front end side of what we did last time here. So I would like us to duplicate this entire design and put it below for the password aspect. So which means I'll just copy from this place, this whole form tag, just duplicate it, copy it and paste it again. So we would have like two. If I refresh this page, yeah, we should see both of them, but I need the header also, so I think I didn't copy it well. Okay, let's go back. So what we should have copied is this entire place. Oh wait, we have a div tag here. Okay, we still need to close this div tag because we have another div tag in this place. So I'll just copy this and put it here. So let's refresh again. Yeah, this is how I want it. So we'll just make small changes to this part. So this one will be updates admin password. Okay, update admin password. We would change this route, of course. I don't think we have the update password route yet, so we would also need to create that. Posts, CSRF, we still need it. Puts, yeah, it's going to be put method because we are updating what has already been created already. So we're updating it, so we're going to use the puts. So in the form fields, we will just need to change the naming. So what we will need is the old password, then the new password, then confirm the new password. Then this update button. So I will remove the email. Refresh. Okay, this route stuff, we'll get back to it. So let me just do it like this. So refresh. Okay, Let me just go remove the coil brackets thing. Refresh. Okay, so this is what we would need. So we need to also work on the field inputs. So we already have the old password here. The type here would be password. Let me increase. So type here is password. The name here, I name this as current password. So for this one, we'll name it the exact password name, password. The exact name, you will have it in a database because this is what we are updating, this password. And the name is password. So that's for the new password. For this confirm password, you can just name it as usual. Anything involved confirm password, we always will need to name it as password confirmation. I've said this thing several times. So I can easily that way can understand and compare both of them to ensure that both of them are equal. Then it will then submit this password alone. Then for this new password, for someone to change their password to a new password, we would have to also check if they really are the real user that want to make that change. So that's why we will demand them to first of all write the old password, then put the new password, then confirm the new password in case of any mistake or mistyping done in the first new password input. Then the updates would work. So in this case, we don't need any values. So I'll remove all this values stuff. Okay. So I think next step, let's create the routes that would help us to update the password as intended. So I'll go to routes admin.php because it's surely going to be within admin. Anything that we're doing inside the admin panel or anything that involves the admin routes, the routes will be in this admin.php. So below here, I can create an extra route for this password update aspect. And the method is going to be put, since we're updating, so it's going to be a put request. So I'll say password update. Then of course it will need an ID of that user that is trying to update their password. Then we need to create a controller for this as well. What should we name it now? Let's use the same profile controller that we already have. We'll just add an extra method here. So we use the same profile controller class, and the method we would use there can name the method password update. Let's say update password. So we'll name our routes here. So we'll name it as password update semicolon. So this is the extra route we're adding. So we're going to create this method inside the same profile controller. Even though we have the profile controller used here, it doesn't matter. You can still use the same controller. I just want anything that involves the admin profile, let everything just be in one place, even though since we can at least make the changes of these ones, let's do the changes here too and use the same controller. So it's just totally up to you, sha. You can still use a different or a new controller for it. Then we use the put method since we are updating the stuff. Then we create the name of the route, how the path should look like. Remember, we always have admin here. So it's going to be like admin slash password dash update slash the ID. So this is a put request, not a get request. So it's not something we can be typing here manually to go to a page. So put request is just like post. So it's only when we are dealing with the get request that you can be saying you want to go and access a page inside the URL. When anything involving put or post, you are talking about clicking a button and where the action should go once the person have clicked that button. So don't confuse it. So once we click that button, we are telling Laravel to go to this profile controller and it should look for this update method. So the name of our route, as usual, is admin dot password updates. That's the name of the route. So let's add it to this place that we previously left empty. So tell it to go to this space once the route is clicked. Admin dot updates. Is it password update? I mean password updates. Then um, then we have an ID here. I'm going to add this ID now. I think we can fetch the admin from the controller eventually. We will fetch the admin from the controller, and that's what we are going to use to access the current admin that is logged in. So something similar to what we did here. So it's something we can get to do as well. So I will just come here and put admin, I will sign the ID. So it will grab that ID like that. So that user ID is what is going to enter into this ID route once the submission is clicked. So now we need to create this update method, this update password. Probably let's password update password. Which name is better safe? Okay, let's just leave it like that. So it will not confuse us with this one too. So let's leave it as update password. So I'll create a new method called update password. So give me a moment. Okay, so public, yeah. No, I'm recording. Don't worry. Public function update password. Update password. So we need a request class for this because surely we always would need to get a request in as much as you are submitting something. So that thing you are submitting, the data inside of these things are being sent as a request. So you always need a request. Hey, why is one look like this? I think there's an issue with our design. I think I have made mistakes somewhere. Input name. Okay, I removed the class. I mistakenly removed the class form control. Put it here also. Refresh. Okay, better. Okay. There are different ways you can actually approach this stuff. How should I do this one now? Okay, let's say let's create a costume request as admin password updates requests. So I will need to create this class inside this our requests app http requests backend. So I will need to create this stuff. Let me just use the terminal php artisan make me a request inside the backend directory, and the name of the request is admin password updates requests. So yeah, it has created the file for us. So I think let's just import it first like this. So let's go to the request class. So set this one as true as usual. Then in this our request queue, we have majorly we have three fields. So we'll check the request for this current password input and this password. We don't need to add password confirmation to the request, although it's up to you, but we don't need to add it. This confirmation would work depending on what is the connection of this first password. So you see what I'm talking about, Sha. We've already done it before in the other formal works that we've done. So for the first one, which is the current password, that's for the user to put their old password. It's required and compulsory. So we're just setting all this our backend required stuff just in case they bypass the front end. Even this front end we don't even put the required at all. So I just add required here. Required. We're also protecting it also from the backend. So the next one, the actual password field that is being sent. So for this one is also required. And now for this password, that's where we will then put the confirmed. So automatically once Laravel see this confirmed that you put in this password field, it will automatically compare it with this confirmed new password. So it's automatically done. So it will automatically search for this name. That's why I'm always using this particular name convention, because this is the name it will recognize to find. So to compare these two password inputs to show that both of them are the same thing. Then if it sees that they are the same thing, then it will store only the ones that is inside this new password, while this one will then be ignored. So that's just the logic behind it. So now there's something a new method we can do just to make some kind of confirmation in terms of, because now we have here the old password. We need to confirm that the old password field, the user is putting the correct old password. No, this is just like a security stuff. Instead of we just allowing them to change it directly, we have to be, let's be also sure that the person that is changing it really is the owner of the account. So that's why we put this old password. So they should put the old password, then they can type their new password and then update it. So we need to make a check to see that the old password the user puts inside matches what is already in this our database here. So we need to compare it to be sure that it matches, and if it matches, then fine, let it proceed to updating the password. So we can create there are two ways of doing it. So this is like one way of it. So I can just create an extra new method called with validator. Now where we understand what this is once it sees it. So with validator, so it will help us validate the password inputs, comparing it. So how we'll just write it, we'll just write like this. Just follow this approach of write up sharp. So validate after function validator. So if so we want to check if the old password the person puts does not match the password that is inside the database. So how we will do it? First of all, let me do I'm going to call this hash class first, hash check. So let it check, which means let it compare the current password the user has put inside. Compare it with the current, the password the user type in that place. Now we are going to compare it using the alt class. Compare it with the currently logged in user password. So admin guard, then grab the user that is currently logged in, then grab the password of that user. So I will then going to put the opposite of this, not. So what it's saying now, it's checking the current password the person put inside this our form field. The old password is checking it and it's comparing it with it's grabbing the current password that is inside the database. So it's comparing both of them, it's checking both of them. So now this exclamation mark is now saying if it is not, like if it is not true, that's what it means. So if both of them does not match, then let us send an error saying the password does not match. So validator errors, and I think we can name it error, then the actual text old password does not match. Okay, you can see how important all these semicolons all these semicolons are, because I was wondering that red line showed here. I'm like, why is it showing? Then I say, okay, maybe probably because I've not closed. Because anything that involves brackets at the end is always good to close it with a semicolon. That was just like I closed this last bracket here with semicolon. But if it's a curly bracket, like all these curly brackets, you don't need to put semicolon for curly brackets. You can see it has even brought error. But when it is a bracket, not a curly kind of, like if it says circular, how would I call it, brackets, put semicolon. But if it's a curly kind of bracket, you don't need to put semicolon. So this would automatically help us do that check of comparing this old password stuff to what is already in the database. So if there's an error, this updating wouldn't work. But if everything goes fine, then it will focus on working on the changing of the new password itself. So let's go back to this and then finish it up. So basically, we would need to get the admin, find or fail ID, So this is just to get the current admin from the ID which has already been sent in our URL link. That's once we click the updates, remember we have an ID that is always sent. So that ID is going to be retrieved inside this place, and that is what we are putting here. So once it checks the admin table, it will find this particular ID of that admin, then it will know the role we are dealing with. So I'm going to store it in a variable. Then what are we changing? We want to change so we are getting, first of all, what are we getting from the request? So the password, and the password we are going to use Bcrypt to make it encrypted. So we're grabbing the requests and then the password. The request, remember this is an object request which is coming from this object of this our request class. So once we grab the request, remember the request is an array. This stuff is usually grabbed when we used to die dump. It usually holds an array. So the key we are taking is the password key. That's what we are taking. Then we use this Bcrypt function to encrypt it. So we are not going to store English inside the database. So we need to store an hashed kind of string, something that looks like this. So that's why we added that Bcrypt. Then we store it in this setup, and lastly we then save the admin data. So let it redirect us back just like this one. So let's redirect us to the same page after successful change. So profile updated successful. So now say password updated successfully. So that's the simple steps we just need to do to add this feature. In Ops now, this stuff it's actually, if you really look at it well, it's actually straightforward and not necessarily long. So the way it might seem long is because of the way I'm trying to break it down and explain the whole stuff. The code line can say as it's very small and straightforward. This thing, you just need to create a form field, put the necessary fields in, password, new password, confirm password, put the proper names for each of them. This current password, you can actually give it any name. It's not by force you must name it current password. You can name it old password itself if you want. But then the main thing that is being stored is this new password. That's why we left this one as the real name password. Then this password confirmation, as usual, this nth type of confirm new password, this should be the name you should be giving it so that Laravel can compare it automatically. Then we created a route for this input route, so which we're going to be accessed, and then to access this method. And for this one, we just created a request class, a custom class, which is inside of this place. Then we set up the rules. Then we run this validator stuff. So usually this stuff would run first. It will even run first before this one will run, before these rules will run. So this validator will first execute. Like let's say I click on updates here. So that validator will first execute and check this old password comparison with the database. And if everything is fine, then to proceed to the rules. Then to now proceed to these rules, ensure that the rules are met, required, confirmed, check the confirmed password, and if everything makes sense, then we have approved for it to move on to storing it here and saving it. So that's just basically what we have done. I think I remember our password was password 123 for the admin panel, because I remember we created a CIDR for it, admin CIDR. So this was the password 123. So let's change it to something else and see. Let me refresh. So the old password, I'm going to type password 123. New password, let's name it as test password 123. The confirm password, test password 123. I'm not supposed to be saying this thing like this. That means in the front end I forgot to change the type. The type is still text here. Show the password. So it nevertheless it will still work. So I'll click update. So password updated successfully. Password updated successfully. Okay, so we've updated the password. Let's check the database and see if there is any change. Let's pay attention to how this old one looks like. I think in this place I can see something like 3x.0 EQ. So let's see if we'll see something that looks like this once I refresh this page. Refresh. You can see it has changed. This is something else, so which means it's actually worked. You can also test it by logging out and logging in back. So let me log out. So let me log in back. admin@mail.com, test password 123, login. Tada! So which means it's working. So but let me just change it back to the usual defaults, the password 123 that we previously have. So I'll also put the old password here. Password test password, test password 123. New password, so I'll name it password 123. Password 123. Updates. Yeah, updated password. So that's basically it. If I refresh this, I'm sure this tool will also change to something else. Right now I'm seeing DXT. Let's see if we're going to see DXT. Refresh. Can see no more DXT. ATC4. So it actually updated. So that is basically how to set up some kind of editing for a user profile. So I don't know if there's any question. So this is how we do it. So the same concept applies even though you want to do it for a normal user. Because right now we're doing it for admin user, we're editing the admin details. Even if you want to do it for a normal user, maybe you want to create this kind of setup for the normal user whereby they log into their tax in that to do tax stuff. You want to create a page whereby they can edit their login details. It's just the same concept. All you just need to change is you follow the same concepts. The only thing you just would need to change the route surely will not be in admin.php. The route will be in web.php. And then also inside this stuff, we're not going to use the admin guard. You will change this to the web guard. So that's just the difference. And it was yeah, it's just for the normal user, not the admin person. Remember, we have two login processes. So yeah, I would have liked to give you guys as assignment, but they far behind, so I don't feel give you as assignment to go do them. So, but you can choose to do it on your own if you want to do it. Just, yeah, inside the you have to first log in inside the to do task and then do it inside to do task. For the routes, I think the routes you can place the routes. Um, for the routes, for this admin, we use this to we created this two routes, so you also need this kind of similar two routes, and you can put it inside. You put it inside this alt middleware. So it's inside this place you put the route, not this place. Remember the concept. This is a guest middleware. You don't need to be logged in to access all these pages. But this middleware that has auths, which means you must be authenticated before you can see them. So surely you can put it inside here because you have to also be logged in first before you can say you want to update your profile details. So those two routes should be within this place in the web.php. Okay, so I think that we can just stop here for today. Hopefully, and comes on Friday. All right, take care.